Hello, my name is Maria and I'm from Ukraine. I'm 13 years old and I became an unusual girl half a year ago. And this is my story. My mom and dad work a lot and unfortunately they have almost no time for me. So one day mom had to go on a business trip and at that very moment dad was supposed to go to his night shift at his research institute. So that I wouldn't sit at home alone, dad decided to take me with him. Besides, I had never been to his workplace before and I really wanted to go and to see his institute. Everything there was very strict and you couldn't get in without special permission. But since my dad was a very important scientist, they issued me a temporary pass and there were no problems. Already at the entrance to the facility, I understood how serious everything was. There were soldiers with weapons everywhere. Dad said that there were so many restrictions there. Maybe I should have just stayed home and watched YouTube. Inside there were no soldiers, only people in white lab coats. There were a great many of them and each was busy with their own tasks. Some were rushing around with the test tubes, some were keeping records and others were simply walking back from the cafeteria, finishing a sandwich on the go. In short, a working atmosphere. Dad brought me to his office and told me to stay there until he got back. And that's what I did. But it was so boring and lonely in that office. So what difference did it make whether I sat at home or here? So I decided to step out into the hallway for a minute and see what interesting things this institute had to offer. Right behind the very next door, I saw some scientist testing some kind of injection on a patient. And after it, he turned invisible for a few seconds. How fascinating! Suddenly someone grabbed me by the arm and led me out of the room. It was my father. He was very displeased and angry. He said that if I kept wandering around the laboratory, he would be in trouble. And I had to obey. He took me back to his office and told me not to leave. Well, I guess I had to listen. Then suddenly an alarm went off. It was the Russians who launched missiles at Ukraine again. Everyone was running around in a panic, shouting something. I'm an obedient daughter, so I decided to do nothing. Wait for Dad. He told me to wait here, so that's exactly what I would do. Then I heard an explosion somewhere nearby. Oh, that was terrifying. Dad really should have hurried up and come for me because things were getting pretty scary. He still wasn't there. Suddenly, a man in some kind of protective suit ran into the office, saw me and told me to immediately leave the room and run for the exit. Dad must have sent him while he was busy with something important, I thought. We ran down the corridor. This time there was no one other but us. Then there was another explosion, and the wall beside us blew apart into pieces. By some lucky chance, I wasn't hit, but the man in the protective suit ended up trapped under the rubble. He was shouting something, telling me to run in the other direction, where there was another exit. He said he would call for backup for me. That was the moment when I started to feel scared. I began looking for another way out of the institute, but it was like a real labyrinth, with rooms and experimental facilities. I went from one room to another, hoping to find an exit, but there was no exit. Finally, I reached a place with a long corridor. Thinking the exit must be there, I ran toward it. In the distance, there was some kind of device. It looked like a large installation, something like a huge laser. Suddenly, another explosion went off. Debris from the ceiling fell onto the device. Apparently, one of the bricks hit the laser and activated it, and it just turned on. I didn't like that at all, but I had no choice. I was in the middle of the corridor with nowhere to hide. At that moment, there was a shot, a purple beam. It passed right through me. It felt very strange, but I didn't seem to feel any pain. I even kept running. Near this device there was a door. I tried to open it, but it was locked. I was trapped. I got so frustrated that I hit the door with my palm, and it started to vibrate strangely. That was surprising. It was metal. I'm not strong enough to bend it. Then the door began to warp, as if under some kind of magnetic force. I managed to squeeze through it. Ahead, I saw another door. I saw the exit to the outside. This was my escape, yes, but it was locked too. Maybe I should try hitting it again. Like last time, I thought. I repeated the move, but nothing happened. I tried again, still no result. Suddenly, I heard another sound right behind me. I was trapped. Was I really going to die here? I'm still so young. I have my whole life ahead of me. I haven't even been to Paris once. I felt a wave of frustration, and again I sensed that strange magnetic force. I looked at the door and couldn't believe my eyes. It was twisted into a tube as if it had been opened with a can opener. Could that force be coming from me? What was the beam that passed through me? I ran outside, and the fresh air made my head spin. Then I saw my father in the distance. He was running towards me, unable to believe his eyes. And at that moment, I lost consciousness.